Garn Goch, or the Red Cairn, so named because of the color of the bracken in the autumn. A Garn Goch is on a ridgeline over the River Towie in southwest Wales. It's actually made up of two separate hill forts, a Gaer Fach, which means the little fort, and the one behind me, a Gaer Fawr, the big hill fort. This double row of stones may be the entrance to a Gaer Fach, the little fort, and you'll see it leads directly to a Gaer Fawr, the big fort, on the next ridgeline. This place is huge. The Great Fort alone covers a complete 29 acres. Now, exploring hill forts is a lot of fun, but be sure to watch where you're going, if for no other reason than to avoid the amazing quantities of sheep poop that are everywhere. But also because, let's face it, this can be quite dangerous. You never know, you don't want to twist an ankle or do something stupid like that, and then... And as I was saying, watch where you put your feet. Hill forts tended to be made out of whatever material was handy, and in most places that would just be ridges of earth. But here at Garn Goch, they had tons and tons of limestone, which were used to pile up the mounds for fortification purposes. And these mounds of stone tend to follow the terrain, which makes them all the more effective as walls and deterrents. One thing I do have to say about these hill forts is that they are incredibly windy. Now, I've been in hill forts like Llandeilo up on the North Welsh coast, Maiden Castle in England, and here, and every single time I've been on them, they've been incredibly windy. Now, that doesn't mean it's windy all the time, but I think it does mean that if you're going to be an ancient Celt, you pretty much had to like the wind. On a high point within a Gaer Fawr, the larger of the two forts, is this Bronze Age cairn. It's actually quite large, and one can't help but wonder if this wasn't one of the things that attracted the Celts to this site. We do know that the Celts did revere old Bronze Age cairns, and for religious purposes may have decided that this was a good place to be. While the Garn Goch was settled and used during the Bronze Age, it really came to the fore during the Iron Age, and between about 47 and 78 CE, about the same time as the Romans were spreading through Britain, this area was completely refortified. It sits on very close to the boundary between the Dematai and Silures tribes, two tribes which were bitter enemies. So we don't know if this was actually built to defend itself, the people here, against the Romans, or between the Dematai and the Silures. Of course, the Dematai allied themselves with the Romans against the Silures, so it could have been a little mixture of both. As far as I've been able to tell, a Garn Goch isn't mentioned anywhere in the lore. I mean, this place was incredibly powerful, it was large, it was obviously very, very important in late Celtic times. So why wasn't it mentioned? I find that very, very sad.